Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another game supplement review, I guess. This time, as you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about Venger Satanis' Primordial Chaos. Gonzo like a fucking boss. I didn't write the F word in the title just because you never know how YouTube's going to take things, but as you guys know, I pretty much everything I do is Gonzo. Every game I run is Gonzo. I've been that way since 1979 to 80-ish. And finally someone has come along and kind of given us all a primer on what that really means, or what it's come to mean over the decades. I'm going to go with David A. Hargrave was the original Gonzo gamer, as far as I know in my research, and that's how I got my start, was through Arduin. You guys know that. But Venger and a few others out there seem to also enjoy it. And what I'm going to talk about is not everything in this book, because a big part of it is taken up by an adventure, and I'm not going to spoil any of that for any of you. Rest assured, it's full of the usual Venger wackiness and tentacles aplenty, and all the things that you would expect from a Venger production. But the four pillars of what make up Gonzo, Bloodworth did the three pillars recently on basic role playing, which I thought was very good. Go check that one out as well. But there's not a lot of inside that I want to show off. There's a lot of text. There's a few images. This one I think I will show off, just because it's got it all right there in it. You got the typical barbarian with some alien schmoes down there, and you've got the green alien slave girl or princess or what have you. It kind of sums it all up quite nicely. I think that would have made for a better cover than this one, although this cover's okay. But I like that image better. If he does another book, I would highly recommend Venger use that image if you're looking for something, because that one really kind of captures the feel of Gonzo. So what does that mean? Now, of his four pillars, the fourth one I'm not in a complete agreement with. I kind of get where he's going, but I never really found that as a thing that we did when we were playing games that were Gonzo. The first one is genre mixing, where you take like for me, I'm a huge fan of sci-fi westerns. Boom, two great things, put them together, you make something even better than the sum of their parts. You've got sci-fi horror, you've got sci-fi fantasy like Star Wars. That's why that one went so well. But you can't miss the fact that it's also got the third element, that being the classic Western element to good Star Wars. Not anything past the first half of Return of the Jedi. Everything after that, not a fan. So anytime you mix one or more genres, and again, I wouldn't go past three either. Maybe, because I always feel like horror is a little spice you can throw on any adventure, any campaign, any game. There should be horror. It's almost, while it is a genre, it's almost something unto itself. Fear being the strongest of all human emotions. There should be plenty of fear in your game. So the first pillar, taking 2-3 genres and mixing them up and coming up with a brand new world and theme and feel to your game or your campaign. The next one is philosophy. The philosophy includes surrealism, existentialism, and cosmicism. We all have our own ideas of religion and existentialism and what makes the world that we live in the way it is, and sticking with one really doesn't work if you want to go Gonzo. You got to mix them up. You got to throw in the doubt and the fear and the unknown, and these philosophies really do that, especially things like surrealism, because you don't know if it's real while you're in the game. That could be done really poorly, so you got to be careful with that one. If you throw too many illusions or too many dream sequences, which I'm not a fan of. I don't mind doing the illusions because that's a form of magic or psychic ability that tries to deceive the players, and the players are always looking out for deception. So one more form of deception is in my book. That's fine. The existentialism, is it a threat to your very existence? Yes, it should be. The overarching campaign should involve something that if you don't do something about it, the world as you know it is going to be destroyed. And that is a great way to create heroes out of the common man, which again, part of the entire hobby is, the zero to hero. Not always, but creating unlikely heroes out of the least likely suspects. Go check out my Traveler campaign. You'll see that that's exactly what we're doing, is creating the most unlikely of heroes to solve the existential threat that literally threatens to destroy everything they love and care about. Cosmicism, you don't always have to go the whole save the actual world aspect or something that grand. It could literally be, your town, your country, your city, your village. For your overall game idea, it's nice when you evolve the little threat to something that's connected to something bigger, and then something bigger. But how far out you go, that's up to you, and it's up to your players, because with the average game only lasting 6-8 sessions before it falls apart, you're probably if you're one of the newer crowd, you might never get there. So start small, work your way out. The third pillar, which as I get older, I'm less a fan of, but I can't deny my roots, and that pillar is the anti-establishment, going against the norms, especially in the hobby. A lot of people out there don't want certain things in their game, in their adventure, in their campaign, and Gonzo just says, tough shit, we're doing it anyways. It's got that whole punk sort of mentality of fighting the whatever perceived norms and laws and systems that are in place to break free and do whatever you want. And in this respect, I think, having not necessarily playing against type, but having unusual mixes of characters and professions, and adding new roles for the players to fill, and just beating down all of whatever you're used to in a game. The traditional Greyhawk and Mistar kind of D&D would never appealed to me. I wanted 6 guns and lasers and all kinds of robots and alien things crashing all over the place, to just shatter all the traditional Tolkien-esque vanilla role-playing and throw some craziness into it. For me, that's probably one of my favorite things about playing Gonzo games. And if you've picked up any of Venger's books, you're going to see a ton of that. Now, the fourth wall, this one's going right out to Venger, and I would love to have a nice long discussion with you behind the scenes, or we want to do a show together about our love for Gonzo, because everything else after you've played a Gonzo game just seems so, as he put it, milquetoast. I don't want to be in an Earth game, a historical fiction, because you really can't mix the genres. You're never going to bump into a robot. Unless it's that's kind of the intention, to really throw in some ancient aliens stuff into your historical fantasy, or running your traditional Knights of the Round Table, or Charlemagne, or even Robin Hood, things I have been a fan of, or other earthly mythologies. Sure, but let's throw some other stuff in there and see what we can come up with. It's not the same been there, done that sort of thing. His fourth pillar, or in his case tentacle, is breaking the fourth wall. That's when the player characters look at the audience and say something. Well, I love that in Board of the Rings. There were several classic examples, and I'm not going to spoil them for you. Go out and read that book if you really want to have one of the best laughs you'll ever have when it comes to making fun of what we do. But it's never really been a thing other than, you know, the players themselves cracking jokes at the table, which I expect. I'm not going to say demand, but if you're not able to crack some jokes while we're at the table, and you're taking it too seriously, then, you know, maybe my table's not the best table fit for you. I want to see and hear because sometimes the jokes can be in character and they're even better, but sometimes, you know, we're human, and we do realize what we're doing. We are playing a game of make-believe and pretending to be, you know, people we're not. So there's going to be some of that, but I'm not exactly sure, you know, how that plays into being a full pillar of what makes Gonzo Gonzo. Unless at your table, you know, you are having people, you know, say things that their characters would never say because they don't realize they're in a fictional world and they're fictional characters. We're playing them as, you know, immersive and as realistic as that at least we can portray them. So breaking from that, I do get that, you know, especially if it's a horrific situation and you're describing some horrible stuff and one of the players wants to crack a dark humored joke, that it kind of brings them out of it so that they can come back in feeling a little safer. I kind of get that, but most of my players are already so dark and fucked up in the head that, you know, I'm hard pressed to put something across their field of view that they're not expecting, or not necessarily not expecting, but, you know, it was like no one's ever at my table said, "Oh, that's a little too dark, man. Can you reel it back?" Never. It's never going to happen. Never has happened. But I could see that, you know, there are some people out there where, you know, that some things might be a little too much. But that's what I've got for you. I'm glad I got this. It'll go right back here with all my other Venger books. Speaking of which, Venger, there's a couple more books I need to pick up from you that I didn't realize I could get from the Kickstarter. I missed it because while I appreciate having an extra copy of Chalt to give away to one of our fans, I got this one, and I wasn't actually even expecting this one. I thought it was going to be PDF, but I know you put out some other stuff that I need to pick up, so I'll get a hold of you via email. Everybody else out there, again, you guys know how much I dig Venger's style and what he brings to the table. If you don't have it, go get it. If you're into Gonzo, look him or I up, or stay tuned for Arduin's release, hopefully the end of this year, maybe into the next year. Let's hope. Keep our fingers crossed and all that for more Gonzo content from Venger. And anybody else out there that you guys know of that I might be interested in, feel free to recommend them in the chat, because I'm always looking for more examples of ways to mix up what's going on at my table and hopefully help you do the same with yours. So I will see you guys, believe it or not, later tonight, because I got a couple of packages that I can't wait to share with you and start fiddling with. So I will see you guys all later tonight. Have a great rest of your day. Love you. And as always, happy trails.